Ben Domenech joining us here in New York City this morning. Okay, Ben, Hunter storms out of Congress one day. The next day he's facing these awful charges in California. He's in a mess. Does that mess reflect badly on his father and reflect politically on his father?
It doesn't just reflect on his father. I think this is the thing that people are underestimating about this whole storyline. Democrats on Capitol Hill are fed up with this. They are fed up with having to answer questions about it. They're fed up with having to respond to, all the different things that are going on with it. It's disruptive, and you saw it just, in the chaos of the other day. That's not something that they actually want, believe benefits them, politically. It's something that we've heard even from the likes of partisans like Jerry Nadler and Jamie Raskin themselves. They don't want to be dealing with this anymore. And it would have been in their interest, frankly, for Hunter to keep his head down, to stay out of the limelight, to try to kick these charges further and further down the pike and not have to deal with them in an election year. The opposite is happening, and it's happening because of his legal team and because he's decided to make this the circus that it's been.
I think it does reflect badly politically on his father.
It does.
I think he pays a price for this.
Well, and it goes into the idea that, the whole message of normalcy, avoiding chaos and the like. And it's not just that he's not alone in that. It's also the Lloyd Austin story. It's everything else that we see coming out of this administration. You can't make that play to the voters anymore when you have this chaotic scene repeating itself.
Donald Trump went after Biden at the town hall last night. Roll tape. Watch this a little.
I think you look at Joe Biden, it's bedlam. You have a man who can't lead. You have a man who can't find his way off a stage after he makes a speech that lasts for about 2 minutes. We are going to have the largest deportation effort in the history of our country. We're bringing everybody back to where they came from. We have no choice. We have no choice. I'm not going to have time for retribution. We're going to make this country so successful again. I'm not going to have time for retribution.
Ben, I stayed up late last night and I watched this thing and I was impressed. I thought it was a very strong performance.
Well, I don't think it's just that it's a strong performance. I think that the former president, is doing something that the current president can't do.
Exactly.
We've seen in the last couple of months him struggle through interviews, not with tough interviewers, but with Conan O'Brien, taking questions, in terms of a New Year's conversation with Ryan Seacrest. This is something that, the current president is not capable of sitting on a stage like that and just delivering coherent answers to simple questions.
Do you think he's capable of being president for another 5 years?
I don't think anybody believes that he's going to be president for another 5 years, including the smartest Democrats. And I think that that's going to be on display come the convention, where you're going to have a lot of young Democrats who are vying to be next in line.
Now, Chris Christie, he's dropped out. He says he's not backed anybody yet. Who gets his votes?
Well, to the degree that those votes exist. I mean, that's something that you have to factor in here. There's not many of them. But they are critical when it comes to New Hampshire. The analysis that 538 and others have done basically say that about half of his votes, or perhaps more than half, go to Nikki Haley. So it does benefit her. But again, Stuart, we are in the waning days of this. This is the 11th hour. If there is going to be any kind of momentum, I think we'd be seeing it. And this is, I think, an indictment, frankly, of a lot of people who wasted a lot of time and a lot of money and didn't really spend it in a smart way when it came to giving donors, getting the backing of donors earlier in the process, when it would have made a difference potentially for either of these candidates.
Brian, how would you characterize Trump's performance last night? I thought it was strong.
He obliterated the image of the boogeyman that the left is trying to paint on him. If you watch that, you didn't see anything that resembles what Jill Biden said. And that's what you need to know.
I think that the problem for the former president is Democrats are going to unleash an never before seen level of negative ad campaigns to try to turn that back, to try to shift away from the strong performances, the confidence, the clarity of message, and turn him again into the boogeyman. And they're going to spend a lot of money trying to do it. Republicans have to be prepared for that.
The more they attack him, the more he's attacked in court, the stronger his his support. It just keeps going up.
It's absolutely, it has played against their narrative, but the simple fact is they're going to try to peel off those same suburban independent voters that they did last time around, and they're going to invest everything they have in that effort. Republicans need to be prepared to fight back against it.
Do you think Trump could win?
Of course I think Trump can win. I mean, look, the real problem that I think we're going to run into here, though, is This race is effectively tied in national polls. Those swing state performances are going to be so critical for the former president. In Pennsylvania, in particular, I think focus on that. That type of state is going to dictate the outcome. I think this coming year.
We love politics, don't we?
Yes, we do,
Yes,
especially
we
when
do.
it's as entertaining as it is in this current
Ben,
moment.
it's great to have you in New York today.
Great
Thanks
to be
very
with
much
you.
indeed.